up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we got round three with Johannes of Cult of Luna. Thank you so much for being here today. It's great to catch up. You were actually one of the last artists we interviewed in person before all the craziness happened, so it's great to sort of catch up.
Yeah. Yeah, we really got out of there in the nick of time. We did this Indiana Jones exit from the U.S. Yeah, just before the big boulder came after us.
You got out just in the nick of time. It's funny too because I live very close to the Gramercy Theater where all that happened, and it was like a night and day sort of change, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
yeah. But
It is what it is.
it is what it is. But we got some good news from Cult of Luna. We got some brand new music coming soon. We got the Raging River EP coming out. Does this at all serve as maybe like a continuation of what we heard on A Dawn to Fear, or is this kind of like maybe like a one-off thing, or maybe a good representation on the direction that Cult of Luna is taking?
I mean, ever since we started working on A Dawn to Fair, I mean the biggest difference with that session or with that or actually how we have worked ever since is that previously, I mean, ever since I can remember, or ever since I can remember, or since, well, the second album, we've been working on very defined themes or narratives that we have had in mind. And have had like a clear start and stop period when it comes to writing. I mean, we have sat down and talked about what story do we want to tell, how do we tell it, how do we bring forward this narrative in terms of music, artwork, and yada yada yada. But what we tried to do on A Dawn to Fair, or what later become A Dawn to Fair, was that we were trying to write and just let our subconscious just let that go and just see what happens when you just write without any rules or anything like specific in mind. And there were a lot of music that just came out of that. So when we went into the studio, I mean, we recorded a lot of music, a lot that did not make it to the album for different reasons. Um, and I mean, when you enter the studio and you start writing, or when you start recording the songs, you pretty early on you realize that a few songs maybe aren't haven't lived up to their full potential yet, and we might need to go back and work on them. I mean, we never like do a pre-production or anything like that. We never do any demos, or very rarely do. Um, so we had to leave a few songs behind uh, that might not, you know, might not be for quality reasons. Just that, like, we can only have X amount of minutes on an album, and some of them needed to be worked on. And now, when we got back from the U.S. tour or the North American tour, um, everything was canceled. So we it gave us some time to go back and also write some new stuff. So we went into this studio here in Umeå, a local studio, and just finished up with the songs and recorded some new stuff. So I see this as a continuation, like there's no, I mean, clear, like a border like between earlier albums, like between Salvation and Somewhere Along the Highway. I mean, that was a clear start and stop period. But this kind of writing tsunami has just been keep going on ever like since 2-3 years back.
Well, I've always admired like your ability to kind of make every album sort of stand out. Like I never considered a Cult of Luna album, whether it is Somewhere Along the Highway or Eternal Kingdom or Mariner or anything, to just be another Cult of Luna album. You know, you collaborate with Julie Christmas on one album, you kind of make like a return to form on another album. Like it almost seems like you are able to kind of make every album stand out. Do you enter something with a preconceived idea ever, or is there kind of like a lot of trial and error?
No, I mean, pretty much our whole career has been when we started writing. Apart from the first album, which pretty much was the songs we had written at the time that we just recorded, because we never thought we were going to be able to record an album. But after that, I mean, we have had very concrete ideas of narratives that we have wanted to tell, and have, yeah, like I said, we kind of try to get that like subject matter to bleed on everything that comes with an album. I mean, the artwork, the lyrics, the music, the production, the way we like the arrangements, the music videos, if we ever do those, and have most, well, I would say the vast majority of the albums has been written with with a clear idea of what we wanted to communicate. I mean, for example, Mariner, Julie wasn't aware of it, but that was we had already decided that we we were going to write this space journey album, and she gladly tagged along.
Mhm. So do you almost like look at every album like because you think of these narratives and you know your way the way you portray your music and the way you portray your art, is it almost like a reflection of who you are? Do you almost look at it as like a self-portrait, or do you almost like kind of use Cult of Luna as a way to distance yourself from who you personally are?
I mean, you can't do that. You are who you are, and that's the thing, though. I mean, um, I kind of accepted that a long time ago. Like I can't do anything that I'm not, if that makes any sense.
Definitely.
For you, I mean, yeah, I mean, I know like songwriters and people that can totally adapt to completely different genres. Like I maybe I can like I can of course write different kinds of music, but it's going to sound like me, and that might be good or bad. I don't know, but it's like I didn't know how to play the guitar when I started, and I kind of created not I didn't create, but I have a style of playing that I think is hard to and writing too, for that matter. That kind of it's me. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just me, and everything, independently of the kind of subject matter that we have used. I mean, um, it's me when it comes to the writing, and that is one thing that was so interesting when I started working on Adult Affair, because um, the idea was to let the subconscious go on the guitar. Like, what happened if I just sit and just write without any ideas of what I wanted to write? And what happens if I write lyrics? If I just sit down and just write the first sentence that comes up in my head. I mean, can be anything. Might be nonsense, which on many occasions it is. But the interesting thing is to, after everything is done, and you take a step back and you read whatever lyric you wrote or listen to the music that you wrote together. Uh, Nothing comes from nothing. So, in when it comes to art, at least. So even though it might have been written with a blank page, it must come from something. I mean, it must come from my something that happened, or if I was in a certain state of mind because of some reason, that is why I wrote those lines. For example, but I have many examples of lines of lyrics that I've written that at the point didn't make any sense, but when I look back at it and see where I was at that time, it makes perfect sense, and it's very obvious. So, in one sense, it's been an interesting process because I had to analyze myself in a lot of ways.
Yeah, does like the inspiration for this sort of like come out of nowhere, or do you almost kind of like need to be in a certain place at a certain time in order for like to collect information and collect ideas for songwriting?
Ideas comes all the time. I've used the analogy of an assembly line. Ideas. I mean, it's constantly just moving forward in my brain. And if I'm lucky enough, when a good one comes, I have a guitar in my hand, or I'm sitting in front of something that I can write down, or I have my phone ready so I can record a riff. Uh, Ideas are constantly. That's the thing, though, with being a songwriter. I throw away 99% of everything that comes through my head,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's not, well, at least it's not as good as I thought it was when I kind of when I caught it, when it was going down my mental assembly line, uh, and I thought this was looks like a great idea, and then I realized it wasn't. That happens 99 out of 100 times,
Do you
for
ever
sure.
come back to it, or do you like when you throw it away, you just never revisit it ever again?
On some occasions, I do. I mean, it depends. If it's a bad idea, uh, if it's a bad idea, then why would I ever return to it? But it's look. Sometimes I'm not sure if it's good or bad, so I kind of keep it somewhere. And but this is the thing: the real good ideas, they stay with me for some reason. Like sometimes I can panic because I'm like I know the chorus, but I don't remember how I played it. And then I think that, look, if this was a great idea, it will come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say 100% of the occasions they do come back. Well, that's a weird question to answer because I wouldn't remember the ones that wouldn't come back, would I? Anyway, so yeah, that's how it works. Need to I just need to sit down with a guitar. And as a father and a person with my own business, that happens um, mostly during nights when I have a few moments of peace and quiet around me.
Definitely. Definitely. Do you feel that with this new EP that the first single you released, Three Bridges, could serve as like a clear representation of what this whole EP is going to sound like, or is that just one little taste of it?
I this All the songs are very different. I think so. I wouldn't say it represents the rest of the songs, or because I mean we have there are some experimental tracks on there that we tried stuff that we haven't really tried before. Um, and yeah, then we have the song that Mark sings on that's very. I mean, so I wouldn't say that it's representative in any way. I mean, it's still us. It's not it's not totally different, but in terms of in the cultofluna universe, the songs are pretty diverse.
That's what I always thought was like the great thing about Cult of Luna is like you're always able to experiment and take new approaches, but I think in the end it's still gonna sound like you, even going back to the debut Cult of Luna album.
Yeah, that's we come back to the same thing. I mean, we cannot not be us, and I think that's actually one of our advantages as a band is that we have. I mean, this is my personal opinion, but I am fortunate enough to play with amazing musicians that we have been working together for so many years, um, and know each other and know like where to give each other space and all that. And I know that it's a totally cliche to say, but it's true that Cult of Luna is a sum of all its parts. And if you would take away any of those parts, it would make a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some band when we have this like one man army doing everything and dictating everything, and it's not like that in this band. At least that's not how I experience it.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it's mostly me coming up with the ideas, but when the idea is presented to the band, it kind of takes its life, of its own, and it becomes a collective effort instead of a solo thing.
Yeah. And when it comes to like your live presence as well, because as I saw you live on two occasions, once was on the tour that you did with Julie Christmas, but then the other one was again fairly recently before the world ended. And just like your use of lighting and the way that you present yourself on stage, it's like such a you really create like an alternate reality with your sound. I feel both when I'm listening to the music and seeing you live. Do you try to capture that live energy on the albums as well? Do you almost feel like there's something that ties the two together?
I don't know how to answer that really. I mean, it's not not in the sense that it's something that we talk about. It's more of we we talk more of how we want the music or how we want the live show to enhance the musical experience. It's more in those terms. When we practice or record or rehearse, we just try to be in the moment, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that is for us. A live show, I mean, whoever says different is not honest because a live show is for the audience, really. I mean, of course, you enjoy doing it yourself, but it's really you play outward. You play outwards towards a bunch of people standing or sitting there, and we try to create an atmosphere that take people away from their reality for 90 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's what I've always thought that you were able to accomplish. And I feel that way when I listen to the album too. Like I was listening to Mariner the other day and like it really just seems like that you're able to kind of capture a moment. Do you find it this is the final question. Do you feel that maybe like the longer you work on something, the harder it is to kind of like capture a moment in a way?
Um, I don't believe. Like, I'm not a perfectionist, and I don't believe in overworking things. And I've said this for years that the best friend an artist can have is a deadline, uh, because you can always overwork stuff. You can always. I mean, you try to. If you get. I mean, there's not an equivalent of the amount of time put into a work and how good it is. I mean, it's not a song is ready when the song is ready. It doesn't matter if you work weeks on the drum sound. It's not that. I don't see things in details. I paint in broader brushes with broader brushes. Um, and I think that it's the overarching idea and song that kind of creates the experience. And like I shoot from the hip all the time, all the time. Like and as long as you're happy with, and that's one thing that took years for me to understand. I am not sure that I've actually kind of come to terms with it yet, but uh, the feeling that everything sucks. But I like I realize like when you write something, and we write really fast. I mean, it's 2 or 3 like practices that we're done with the song.
Hmm.
It's really fast. Um, but for years, I thought I mean, you never thought or knew if a song was good enough or not, or if people would like it or not. And we kind of talked about it, and like even though this sounds different, uh, if we see through our history and the things that we do, well, people have enjoyed the things that we do, and we enjoy what we do now. The probability that people are going to enjoy it too is quite high, right?
Hmm.
And that took me years to kind of understand, or actually just stop thinking about, you know, how people would perceive or like. Well, to be blunt, if they would like it or not, and to say that I don't care, it would be a lie. But I've come to terms with the idea that if I'm happy, that's enough, or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like art is life in itself. So when you like create something, you're ultimately its humble guide at the end.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to writing music, that's one thing that is me and something I will do for a long time. I can't see myself not doing it. So yeah, it literally is life itself.
Awesome. So before we go, I want to thank you again so much for your time. This is our third interview. It's always a great catching up. Is there just anything else with the release of this brand new EP? Could we be expecting maybe like a live stream performance to promote it, or like anything
No,
else with no live stream? Okay, but
nope,
but
that won't happen.
okay, okay. Way to be very honest and concrete about it. I love it. Is there just anything
No,
like?
no, no, look, we live in different parts of Sweden, and like there's no way that we can get together uh, and do it. And if we get together, we have other things to focus on. So I know that that won't happen. But yeah, we have a tour in Europe. We're gonna start. We're gonna finish off what we had to cancel when this whole mess started. So we're going to do Southern Europe. Well, mid and Southern Europe in October, hopefully. And then, if everything goes as planned, and we can get back to something that resembles normalcy, we'll continue on from there.
There was a couple of friends of mine who were at the show that you played at Gramercy Theater, and they basically like for a lot of us, you were the last show that we got to see, so they want to be the first band to see live when the world returns to normalcy, as kind of like a way to pick up
Yeah,
where they left off.
yeah, yeah. That would be good.
Yeah.
we will see when or if we return to the US.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Same
so
set
that's
list
just
too.
sorry.
Same set list as well. You got to play the same set list.
Yeah, if I can remember it.
Don't worry, everybody. You have diehard fans here in New York City. We definitely remember every song that was played on that fateful night. But thank you so much, Johannes.
Oh yeah.
Everybody, we are here with Johannes of
All right.
Cult of
Well,
Luna. We are here with Johannes of Cult of Luna, the Raging River EP coming out very soon. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.